The House will come to order. The pledge today will be led by Robbie Manta, Julia Jackson, Lisa Hafner, and Alexander Pearson from Preserve America Youth Summit. Welcome.
Please join us in saying the Pledge of Allegiance.
I pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all. I'll be right with you. Mr. Culler, please call the roll. So let's see.
Representatives Arndt. Becker J.
Thanks so much.
Representative John Becker.
We'll go stand at the top of the speakers. I'm sorry, I'm in my Uncle outfit. This is supposed to be.
It's orange, honey, not red.
Well, it's also where we're remember.
And no one's saying anything. I know they wear.
Representative Jay Becker excused.
Becker K. Brown. Buck. Buckner. Carver. Conti. Representative Conti. Representative Conti excused.
She said Danielson's excused.
Representative Corum. Court. Danielson excused. Del Grosso. Dorr. Duran. Esgar. Everett. Fields. Foote. Garnett. Janal. Hamner. Humphrey. Joshi. Kagan. Klingenschmidt. Kraft-Tharp. Landgraf. Lawrence. Lebsock. Lee. Leonard. Lontine. Lundeen. McCann. Melton. Representative Melton. Melton excused. Mitch Bush. Representative Conti is present. Representative Moreno. Navarro. I said representative. Neville. Nordberg is excused. Pabon. Pedersen. Primavera. Priola. Representative Priola.
Representative Priola excused.
Rankin. Ransom. Rosenthal. Rupe. Ryden. Sane. Salazar. Sias. Singer. Thurlow. Tyler. Van Winkle. Vigil. Willett. Williams. Wilson. Windholz. Winter. Wist. Young. Madam Speaker.
Here. And With 60 present and 5 excused, we have a quorum. Representative Moreno.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move the reading of the Journal of Thursday, February 4th be dispensed with and it be corrected and it be approved as corrected by the Chief Clerk.
Good work, Representative Moreno. You have heard the motion that the journal be adopted as corrected by the Chief Clerk. All those in favor say aye. All opposed say no. Motion passes. Announcements and introductions. Representative Singer.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I'd like to ask for a moment of personal privilege.
Based on our conversation, you're granted a moment of personal privilege.
Thank you, members. Thank you, members. I appreciate your attention. I will be brief here. I don't come to the well that often, and I know a lot of you appreciate that. But I was meeting with my Longmont City Council last night, and as many of you remember, in 2013, my district faced historic floods, perhaps the worst in the history of the state of Colorado, definitely one of the worst. A lot of people don't realize that people are still struggling. They're still suffering. When we hear rain clouds overhead, when we hear the rattle of rain on our window panes, it's different than the rest of the state of Colorado. We still get a sinking pit in our stomach and a sinking feeling in our hearts because we know that there's still hundreds of displaced and homeless people from floods that happened 2 years ago. We have hundreds of millions of dollars to our infrastructure, our roads, our ditches, our headwaters. All of these things we can't solve as a body, but when I spoke to them, my city council said, make sure that people haven't forgotten. It feels like it's over because it's not in the news and we're not talking about it anymore every day. It's still happening for people. The rain hasn't stopped in people's hearts. And I would ask that you carry them in your hearts today and remember that there are still people struggling, there are still people suffering, there are still hundreds of millions of dollars of damage that we can't necessarily do something about as a body today, but we can work towards and continue to make sure that those voices and those people and those families aren't forgotten. Thank you, members.
Thank you, Representative. Representative Ryden.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and members of the State Veterans and Military Affairs Committee and anyone else who is following any of our bills. On Monday, we will not be hearing the House Bill 1107 with Representative Joshi. That will be heard at a later date. And then on Wednesday, we will not be hearing House Bill 1111 with Representative Coram. That will also be scheduled at a later date, just so you know. Thank you.
Representative Rupe.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So members, here I am again about Veterans Caucus. It's on Monday, and the RSVP is at about almost to the bottom of the page, Jerry Wheeler. We have about 40 people that are going to be at the event, and we have a number of different speakers. Take a look at your flyer. It tells you who's coming and what they're going to talk about, but certainly there will be many, many more in the audience. So please come join us. Let us know you're going to be there so we can recognize you, and go Broncos.
Representative Mitch Bush.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Good morning, colleagues. It's Friday. It's time for the ski report. We've had snow all over our state. All our skiers are doing great, but let me focus on those in my district. Vail has a 62-inch base and 226 inches total. Vail, like nowhere on earth. If you've never been to the Back Bowls, check it out. Beaver Creek, home of the Birds of Prey downhill course, has a 53-inch base and 208 inches total this year. And Steamboat, my home ski area, a ski area created by ranchers for the people of communities around Steamboat and in it, a real town, the best tree skiing on the planet, and yes, champagne powder, has an 81-inch base and 269 inches to date. Go skiing.
Further announcements, Representative Williams.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and go Broncos. If you wore jeans today, I will be around so we can collect your fines. And we're going to use this money and go ahead and contribute to the groceries that we had started. So that's what the money will go towards. Thank you.
Representative Quorum.
Thank you. Members, could I have your attention, please?
Yes, please, members, let's put some attention to the well, please.
I have a couple of things to say. You know, last Friday we had Military Day, and we're very proud of that. But some of you have noticed I wear red every Friday to honor our military. So if you're not in orange, you should be in red. And let's try to make that a tradition that, thank you, Representative Rosenthal. I think that's important to show that we are in support of our military, not just one day a year, but year-round. The other thing that I have to talk about is Telluride Ski Area. Telluride has 70 inches of Great Base, and I would like to show you a brief tribute Telluride has done for the Broncos. Telluride is known for not only its skiing, but it is an excellent area for filmmaking. A lot of the commercials that you will see come out of Telluride, the Budweiser commercials example. The recent filming of The Hateful Eight. This has been a filming area that Hollywood has chosen for the last 40 years, Southwest Colorado. So if Ron would please play that and our Southwest Colorado tribute to the Broncos.
Go Broncos. Representatives Garnett and Mr. Speaker Pro Tem Bobone.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, it's United in Orange Day. As we all know, Broncos play on Sunday. They're going to beat the Panthers. And Denver and Colorado is going to beat North Carolina in the number of non-perishable items that we've collected to help those most in need. No, today's the last day. If you're wearing jeans and you're being fined $10, know that that $10 is going to go towards buying more non-perishable items. I know that the salmon-colored bins are still up here, so if you have some items that you've brought from home, please drop them off before the end of the day.
Mr. Speaker Pro Tem.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And members, you have been very generous in your giving to United in Orange, and we want to thank you on behalf of the over 150 food banks around the state who are supporting this cause to beat hunger and beat the Panthers. So thank you for your participation. Again, United in Orange is bigger than just the Broncos. It's about raising awareness to those who are in most need in our population. And thank you for your support and your contributions. Let's go Broncos.
Representative Foote.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And if there's one thing that's even more exciting than the Super Bowl, it's the Committee on Legal Services. Members, that's today at noon, and Representative Willett knows exactly what I'm talking about. This is the most exciting committee that anybody can experience. It is today at noon. It's now one thing that's important to remember, members, is that it was scheduled to be downstairs in one of the House rooms. It's actually been moved to Senate Committee Room 354 upstairs on the 3rd floor. That starts at noon. So we look forward to seeing you all there. Thank you.
Representative Singer.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Members, the Colorado Children's Caucus is coming on back, and I wanted to invite you all to the first caucus event. It's happening Monday, 4:30 p.m. in Senate Committee Room 356. We're talking about emancipating youth, and we will have an expert panel, including many of our young folks that are facing these issues. I invite you all to join us. You should have a flyer on your desk, and I'll remind you again on Monday. And amazing video, Representative Coram. I had no idea you could ski that well. And, thank you, Madam Speaker.
Representative Williams.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And Madam Speaker, I'm making an adjustment to the fines today. We had some smart women who decided to wear their leggings or their tights. They're not in dresses. They're not in jeans, so we have a $5 fine for leggings and tights. Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Is that a retroactive law, Representative Williams? I'll declare it constitutional for the purposes of the food bank.
Thank you, Madam Speaker.
Representative Mitch Bush.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. In addition to red symbolizing support for our military, which is critical, today is also Women's Heart Day. Women are very, very susceptible to heart disease, thus also the red symbolizing the heart. Heart disease is the leading killer of women in the United States.
Representative Mitch Bush, would you give me 2 minutes, because it's important that people hear this. May we have your attention and quiet for an important announcement? Please proceed, Representative Mitch Bush.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. Once again, another reason to wear red beyond supporting our military, which is reason in and of itself, is also for Women's Heart Disease Day. Women are far more susceptible to heart disease than the public generally realizes. People have for many years thought of it as a men's disease. It is in fact the leading killer of women in the United States, and it is only recently that by recently I mean, the last 10, 15 years, that we've seen epidemiological research that focuses on women's patterns. And it turns out that women experience heart disease differently, which is one of the reasons why it's such a big killer. Women do not generally get the telltale left arm pain into the chest. Rather, they begin with what many define as indigestion, and then it progresses on. So we need to get the word out about heart disease, and so that's another reason for wearing red.
Representative Willett.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I don't come down here on these resolutions very much, and I should have last year on this one. This young lady right here is Patricia Willett. And in 1974, she ran for what was House District 54. That's my mother. And she died of heart failure about 2 weeks before I decided to run. So she never learned that I ran for her same House district. And one of the reasons I was delaying making a decision is because she was not doing well in her health. So this is to Pat Willett, and I appreciate the heart and women's health and men's health. So thank you for standing.
Thank you, Representative Willett. Representative Brown.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And to continue with the skiing report, I'd like to report that Wolf Creek has to date over 300 inches of snow. You can't get even better skiing than down there. And then Purgatory also, I think, has more than just about any other ski area. It's a little hard to get down there, but I tell you, once you get down there, will enjoy it. So come on down.
Further announcements and introductions. Seeing none, the next order of business is consideration of memorials. Mr. Kohler, please read the title of Senate Joint Memorial 002.
Senate Joint Memorial 2 by Senators Jones and Roberts, also Representatives Corum and Vigil, concerning the need for Congress to fund catastrophic wildfire response costs outside of federal forest management agencies' normal budgets.
Who's making the motion? We're on the way. We're slow. Oh, Representative Corum and Representative Vigil.
Thank you, Madam Speaker, and I would move SJM 16002.
You move SJM 002.
Yes, thank you. This is something that we've talked about in Interim Water all summer long, and you know we're spending a lot of money on wildfires, and I think the federal budget is basically consumed with firefighting now rather than management, and I think this is just a signal to Congress to change the way we're doing it so we can actually manage our forests much better.
Representative Vigil.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. So this is a really, I rise in strong support of this, as you probably already know that, but it's very important that we get funding between the federal government and local governments. And without the funding, it's very difficult to be able to get anything done. However, in my area, we have a group that did something really unusual during the South Fork Complex wildfire. They were able to somehow or other work it out with feds and other local governments, build up a coalition called REACT, and get the what they call the burn area. I forgot the other words, other acronyms for it, but they're able to go in quickly and try to restore the watersheds by minimizing the flooding, by minimizing hazardous water rises to the campers. They had a plan to do a lot of stuff. So that's how important this is, and this should be possible for not only my area, but it should be a model for the rest of the United States. So this is a very important memorial, and rise in strong support, and thank you for listening.
Representative Mitch Bush.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I rise in strong, strong support for SJM 16002. This is a critical issue, the issue of wildfires, but moreover their impact post-fire for years on watersheds throughout our state, but especially on the western slope. The two counties I represent, Eagle and Routt, have had these problems. They have dealt with them on the community level, but they are hamstrung. They are hamstrung because, as the representative has pointed out, the sponsors of this pointed out, federal wildfire management budgets have really, really been decimated by the increase in actual fires. So the monies that used to go to prevention, to mitigation, to timber sales have instead had to be moved to actually fighting the fires. I would particularly draw your attention to page 2 of this resolution. Whereas, and this is line 7, whereas the United States Forest Service spent only 16% of its annual budget, 16%, on fire suppression and response in 1995, recently announced that in 2015, for the first time, it will spend more than half its budget, more than half, to fight wildfires. And by 2025, it expects to spend 67% of its budget on that task. So what that means is very little money to prevent. And it makes so much more sense to prevent rather than fight these fires. So please, I'd urge an aye vote.
Representative Corum.
Thank you. Just to add a little personal touch, several years ago, probably 10 to 12 years ago, we had a fire in San Miguel County. And the fire was so hot that it basically sterilized the soil. The rocks, you know, it's huge, 10-ton rocks, got so hot that they cracked. Vegetation has not come back. Erosion has been a problem. And, you know, this is a water quality issue not only environmental from air quality, but water quality. So please support this resolution.
Is there further discussion on SJM 002? Representative Carver.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And I rise in support of SJM 16-002. My district includes the area of the Waldo Canyon fire and the aftermath of those fires is, of course, as Representative Coram mentioned, you now have a burn scar area, in our case, back up in the canyons, Waldo Canyon, Williams Canyon, so that every time we have an intense flooding event, that burn scar area is impermeable. And now my small communities along Highway 24, which are also in my district, Cascade and Green Mountain Falls, have minutes of advance warning to get out of the way of flash flooding that is life-threatening. And so every year we look at the national forest lands just west of Highway 24, which have so many dead tree kill, where we understand the Forest Service, who is now spending so much of their money fighting fires, doesn't have the resources currently to deal with proper forest management. So this resolution memorial is very timely. It is a true threat to life and property, which we need a coordinated federal, state, local response. Thank you.
Is there further discussion? Representative Brown.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And this is close to my heart also. We have just millions and millions of acres in my district of Forest Service land and BLM land. And what this memorial asks is that the federal government fund firefighting separately from the other management needs of these agencies. And there are lots of other uses. There's grazing, there's timbering, there's hunting, fishing, camping. In our area, they're shutting down most of the campgrounds. They're not being able to manage these lands like they ought to, because all of the money has been used for firefighting. So this is a good resolution, and thank you. Let's vote yes on this resolution.
Is there further discussion on SJM 002? Seeing none, the question before us is the adoption of SJM 002. Is there objection to taking a voice vote? Seeing none, all those in favor say aye. Aye. Opposed, no. SJM 002 is adopted. Representative Coram.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I would move that the current roll call be added as co-sponsors.
The motion is to have the current roll call be added as co-sponsors. Is there any objection? Seeing none, so ordered. We are back to announcements and introductions. Excuse me. Representative Ryden.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. And members, it's not on our calendar yet, but on Monday, we will be having a memorial coming over from the Senate for former Representative and Senator Stephanie Takacs. She passed away 2 years ago. She represented the Adams County part of Aurora and areas north. And I just wanted to alert you to that in case anybody here knew her, wanted to say something, or has friends that might have worked with her here. So anyway, I just wanted to let you know that we'll be doing the memorial to Stephanie Takacs on Monday. Thank you.
Are there further announcements and introductions? Madam Majority Leader.
Thank you, Madam Speaker. I move that the House stand in recess until later today at 1:30 p.m.
So the motion is to recess until later today at 1:30 p.m. and a friendly amendment might be go Broncos on top of that. So any objection to recessing until 1:30 this afternoon? Seeing none, go Broncos and have a great weekend.